thing first, we're going to start off giving all praises, all glory, all honor to the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Right.
Through his only begotten Son, Jesus the Christ. Secondly, we're going to give double honors to our elders. Our elders, they rule well. They're counted worthy of double honors. They get their double honors.
Facts.
Now, lastly, definitely not least, I want to say Shabbat Shalom, Happy Sabbath, greetings to all the brethren, all the sisters out there. My name is Priest Lithiel Ben Israel.
And my name is Priest Ron Ben Israel.
And we, as you know, we're with the Straight Gate of Israel, the holy nation of Israel. Back again, another class, another topic, another lesson. But before we continue any further, I want you, get your Bibles, Apocrypha included. Get your notebooks, get your pens, get your paper, get your pencils. Read along with us if you can. Also take notes if it is in your spirit. Lord willing, this will be an edifying lesson that I am going to entitle Ancient History, the Contemporary Future. And we're going to open up in Romans 15:4.
The book of Romans chapter 15 verse 4.
Read.
For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning.
The things that were written aforetime, past times, those things were written for our learning. Keep going.
That we, through patience and comfort of the scriptures, might have hope.
That we, through patience and comfort of the scriptures, might have hope. The things written aforetime were written for our learning. Talking about the things written in the scriptures. What things were written in the scriptures? Give me the book of Deuteronomy 28 and 58. Let's start there. Deuteronomy 28 and 58. Read that.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 58.
Read.
If thou wilt not observe to do all the words of this law.
All the words of this law. This law is the law of God. Read it one more time.
If thou wilt not observe to do all the words of this law that are written in this book.
That are written in this book. In the scriptures, the words of the law, God's laws are written in the scriptures. Keep going.
That thou mayest fear this glorious and fearful name, the Lord thy God.
All praises. Give me Deuteronomy 30 and 10.
Deuteronomy chapter 30 verse 10.
Read.
If thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep his commandments.
To keep his commandments.
And his statutes.
And his statutes.
Which are written in this book of the law.
Which are written in this book of the law. In this book, what's written? Laws, statutes, commandments. That's what's written in this book, in the scriptures. Keep going.
And if thou turn unto the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul.
Give me chapter 29 and 21.
Deuteronomy
29 and verse 21.
Deuteronomy chapter 29 verse 21. And the Lord shall separate him unto evil out of all the tribes of Israel.
The Lord said he's going to separate the evil out of all the tribes of Israel. Read.
According to all the curses.
According to all the curses. Read.
Of the covenant that are written in this book of the law.
Curses are also written in this book. In the book of the law. You got statutes, commandments, laws, curses. Give me the book of Psalms chapter 149 and verse 9 real quick. Let me get that one as well.
Book of Psalms chapter 149 and verse 9.
Read.
To execute upon them the judgment written. This honor have all his saints. Praise ye the Lord.
What else is written in this book? The judgments of God. The judgments of God are written in this book. Give me Wisdom of Solomon 17. Wisdom of Solomon 17 and verse 1.
Wisdom of Solomon chapter 17 verse 1.
Read.
For great are thy judgments.
For great are the judgments of God. God's judgments are great. The judgments in time past, the judgments to come are great. Read it again.
For great are thy judgments.
Read.
And cannot be expressed.
And cannot be expressed. Meaning God's judgments can't truly be conveyed or communicated in writings. You can't really get the feeling, the fear, the dread that comes with God's judgments in writings. They can't truly be expressed. You would have to be in the moment to get the feeling. You would have to be in the moment to have the fear, the dread, to know what it really is. Read it again.
For great are thy judgments.
Great are the judgments of God.
And cannot be expressed.
And they cannot be expressed. Read.
Therefore,
for that reason, read.
Unnurtured souls have erred.
For that reason, unnurtured souls err. Unnurtured souls err. Hey, give me the book of 2nd Ezra chapter 8 and verse 12 about how the Lord nurtures souls real quick.
The book of 2nd Ezra chapter 8 and verse 12.
Read.
Thou brought it up with thy righteousness.
The Lord brings up the souls of man with righteousness. Read.
And nurtured it in thy law.
The Lord nurtures the souls of man in the law. Read.
And reformed it with thy judgment.
And the Lord reforms the souls of man with judgment. But the point we wanted was the nurture. He nurtures the souls of men with, he nurtures the souls of men with the law. That's what I wanted to say. With the law. Give me the book of 2nd Ezra 5 and 42 about God's judgments.
Book of 2nd Ezra chapter 5 verse 42. And he said unto me, I will liken my judgment unto a ring.
The judgment of God is like a ring. I mean, it goes around and around continually. Continually, yo. What goes around comes around. That's what God's judgments are. Read it again.
And he said unto me, I will liken my judgment unto a ring.
Read.
Like as there is no slackness of the last, even so there is no swiftness of the first.
Solomon said the same thing. Give me Ecclesiastes 1. Just in a different way. But he said the same thing. Ecclesiastes 1 and 9.
Ecclesiastes chapter 1 and verse 9.
Read.
The thing that hath been, it is that which shall be.
The thing that hath been is that which shall be. Read.
And that which is done.
And whatever is done
is that which shall be done.
Is that which shall be done. Read.
And there is no new thing under the sun.
And there's no new thing under the sun. What is Solomon telling you here? History repeats itself. The thing that happened in time past is the thing that will happen in times to come, in future times. That's what Solomon is telling you right here, yo. This is what he is telling you right here. Give me the book of Sirach chapter 16 and verse 6. Sirach chapter 16 and verse 6.
The book of Sirach 16 verse 6. And the congregation of the ungodly shall a fire be kindled.
In the congregation of the ungodly shall a fire be kindled. Get the ungodly. Sirach chapter 41 and verse 8. What does it mean to be ungodly? Who are the ungodly? Read this real quick.
Sirach chapter 41 verse 8. Woe be unto you, ungodly men.
Woe be unto you, ungodly men, women, you ungodly persons. We're about to find out what it means to be ungodly. Read it again.
Woe be unto you, ungodly men.
Read.
Which have forsaken the law of the Most High God.
Ungodly persons forsake the law of the Most High God. And some of those ungodly persons, those are your parents, those are your siblings, those are your children, those are your family, those are your friends. That's some of those ungodly persons. Your spouse, that's some of those ungodly persons. An ungodly person is a person who forsakes the law of God. Like, for example, when you bring to your spouse or your family member or your friend that law that says you can't eat swine, and they say, I'm going to eat the pig anyway, and they continue to eat the pig anyway, guess what they just told you about themselves? They're ungodly. Or how about when you bring the law to a cross-dressing man or a cross-dressing woman and you tell them, hey, you can't dress like the opposite sex. Brother, you can't dress like a woman. Sister, you can't dress like a man. You know what happens? What they're telling you if they continue in their transvestic disorder? They're ungodly, yo. See, the ungodly forsake the law of the Most High God. And those are just examples. Read it one more time.
Woe be unto you, ungodly men.
Read.
Which have forsaken the law of the Most High God. For if you increase in riches, houses, cars, or with family, with children, if you increase, read. It shall be to your destruction.
It's only for destruction. It is only for destruction. Read.
Verse 9. And if ye be born.
And if you be born, read.
Ye shall be born to a curse.
You shall be born to a curse. Specifically talking about the Israelites. What is that curse? Deuteronomy 28, 15 through 68. That's that curse right there. Read it again.
And if ye be born, ye shall be born to a curse. And if ye die.
And if you die, all that are born die. So if you die, what?
A curse shall be your portion.
A curse shall be your portion. What is that curse? What is your portion? Hold this. Give me the book of Matthew chapter 25 and 41. Matthew 25 and 41.
Book of Matthew chapter 25 and verse 41.
Read.
Then shall he say also unto them on the left hand.
This right here is a parable about the coming of Christ and the sheep and the goats. On his left hand here are the goats. Jump up to verse 33.
Verse 33. And he shall set the sheep on his right hand.
The Lord shall set his sheep on his right hand. The sheep are the Israelites who hear his voice. Read.
But the goats.
Read.
On the left.
The goats are going on the left. The goats, those are the evil among Israel. The goats, that's the ungodly. The goats, that's the rebellious of the children of Israel. Jump back down to 41.
Verse 41.
Read.
Then shall he say also unto them on the left hand.
The goats, the ungodly, the rebellious. Read.
Depart from me, ye cursed.
Depart from me, ye cursed. They are cursed. Read.
Into everlasting fire.
And that's the curse right there. That's their portion right there. Everlasting fire. Read.
Prepared for the devil and his angels.
That fire that was prepared for Edom and the nations that ally themselves with Edom, yo. That's their curse. That's their portion, yo. Hey, Psalm 119, verse 21, about why they're cursed. I mean, we already read it. It's because they forsake the law of God. But give me Psalm 119, verse 21.
Psalm 119 and verse 21. Thou hast rebuked the proud.
The Lord rebukes the proud. Read.
That are cursed.
That are cursed. The proud are cursed. Read.
Which do err from thy commandments.
Which do err from thy commandments. This is why they are cursed. This is why they are cursed. These are those unnurtured souls that err. Err for what? The commandments of God. And because of that, they are cursed. Go back to Sirach chapter 41, I want verse 10.
The book of Sirach chapter 41 and verse 10.
Read.
All that are of the earth shall turn to earth again.
All that are of the earth shall turn to earth again. If you're born, you die. That's what this is saying. Read it again.
All that are of the earth shall turn to earth again.
Read.
So the ungodly shall go from a curse.
Shall go from the curse of Deuteronomy 28, 15 through 68. Read.
To destruction.
To destruction. To destruction. And that destruction is destruction of both soul and body, yo. Soul and body. Give me Isaiah chapter 10. I want Isaiah chapter 10. Let's start at verse 16.
The book of Isaiah chapter 10 and verse 16.
Read.
Therefore shall the Lord of hosts, send among his fat ones leanness.
Therefore shall the Lord of hosts send among his fat ones leanness. Christ told you about this. The fat ones are those who are full today. You're going to be hungry later. That's what this is talking about. If you got ears to hear. Keep going.
And under his glory.
And under his glory, under the heavens, read.
He shall kindle a burning like the burning of a fire.
The earth is going to burn. The earth is going to burn. Keep going.
Verse 17. And the light of Israel shall be for a fire.
The light of Israel is the Christ. Read.
And his Holy One for a flame.
The Holy One is the Christ. He's that fire. He's that flame. Keep going.
And it shall burn.
And it shall burn.
And devour his thorns.
And devour his thorns.
And his briars.
And his briars.
In one day.
In one day. What are his thorns and his briars? The rebellious among the children of Israel. Let's get that real quick. Give me Ezekiel 2 and 3. I need you to get there because I'm going to need you to read the annotation. Give me Ezekiel chapter 2. Let's start at verse 3. Then we'll jump down.
All right. The book of Ezekiel chapter 2 verse 3.
Read.
And he said unto me, Son of man, I send thee to the children of Israel.
So who are we talking about here? The children of Israel. Read.
To a rebellious nation.
A rebellious nation. Read.
That have rebelled against me.
That have rebelled against the Lord. Read.
They and their fathers have transgressed against me, even unto this very day.
Even unto this very day. Jump down to verse 6.
Verse 6. And thou, son of man, be not afraid of them.
Don't be afraid of the children of Israel.
Neither be afraid of their words.
Don't be afraid of the words of the children of Israel. Read.
Though briars and thorns be with thee.
Though briars and thorns be with thee. Read the annotation. It's the number 3 next to briars and thorns.
All right, the annotation is rebels.
Rebels. The briars, the thorns, that's the rebels. The rebellious of the children of Israel, yo. Hey, finish that verse.
Though briars and thorns be with thee, and thou dost dwell among scorpions.
Read.
Be not afraid of their words, nor be dismayed at their looks, though they be a rebellious house.
Let's go back to Isaiah chapter 10. Let's read 17.
The book of Isaiah chapter 10 and verse 17. And the light of Israel shall be for a fire.
That's the Christ.
And his Holy One for a flame.
That's the Christ.
And it shall burn and devour his thorns and his briars.
The thorns and the briars, the rebellious, the rebels of the house of Israel. He shall burn his thorns and his briars when?
In one day.
In one day. And that one day is the one day in which he returns. That's what it's talking about. Next verse.
Verse 18. It shall consume the glory of his forest.
And it shall consume the glory of his forest. A forest is made up of trees. For those who don't know, trees are analogous for men in the Bible. Mm-hmm. Give me one precept on that. Give me Mark 8. Just that one. Mark 8 and verse 22. Because we've been over this before. So we're not about to touch a bunch of precepts on it. Mark 8 and 22.
The book of Mark chapter 8 verse 22. And he came to Bethsaida. And they bring a blind man unto him, and besought him to touch him.
Read.
And he took the blind man by the hand, and led him out of the town. And when he had spit on his eyes,
and
put his hands upon him,
read.
He asked him,
what he asked?
If he saw aught.
He asked this man, what do you see? Read.
And he looked up and said,
what did he say?
I see men.
I see who?
I see men.
I see men.
As trees.
As trees.
Walking.
Walking. See, trees are analogous for men. In the Bible, man. In the Bible. Read the next verse.
Verse 25. After that, he put his hands again upon his eyes.
Read.
And made him look up. And he was restored. And saw every man clearly.
And saw every man clearly. Let's go back to Isaiah 10 and verse 18.
The book of Isaiah chapter 10 and verse 18.
Read.
And shall consume the glory of his forest.
And shall consume the glory of his forest. Read.
And of his fruitful field.
And the glory of his fruitful field. The fruitful field is the world in its entirety. But keep going.
Both soul and body.
Both soul and body. This is how you know it was talking about what? Men. This is how you know it's talking about what? Man. He's going to consume or destroy both soul and body, yo. The souls and the bodies of men. This is how you know that his fruitful forest is not a forest of pine trees and chestnut trees, fruit trees, whatever you want to say. No, it's about men. Read it again for me one more time.
Verse 18. Verse 19. Verse 18.
Right.
And shall consume the glory of his forest and of his fruitful field.
Read.
Both soul and body.
Both soul and body. Read.
And they shall be as when a standard bearer fainteth.
Matthew 10 and 28. Matthew chapter 10 and verse 28.
The book of Matthew chapter 10 and verse 28. And fear not them which kill the body.
Talking about man. Man can kill the body. Read.
But are not able to kill the soul.
But they cannot kill the soul. Read.
But rather fear him.
Instead, fear him. Read.
Which is able to destroy both soul and body.
Which is able to destroy or consume both soul and body. Where?
In hell.
In hell, yo. The Lord will consume the souls and the bodies. He will destroy the souls and the bodies of man in hell, yo. And when it's talking about hell, it's talking about hellfire. Hellfire. Give me that in Matthew 5 and 22 about hellfire, because I know there's going to be an Israelite that's going to they teach you Christianity. And then I'm going to have to look at you and be like, no, you teach Christianity.
That's what they gonna say. They
Because
talk
you
about
deny scriptures.
They talk about red devils and
Yeah,
horns in the
pretty
pitfall.
much. That's what some Israelites going to say. Read this real quick.
Book of Matthew chapter 5 verse 22. But I say unto you, that whosoever is angry with his brother without a cause.
Whoever is angry with his brother without a cause, for no reason. His brother didn't sin against him. His brother didn't trespass against him. But for some reason, he's angry with his brother. Let's see what Christ says about you. Read.
Shall be in danger of the judgment.
You're in danger of the judgment. What judgment? The same judgment that a killer gets. The same judgment for a murderer. Death. That's the judgment you're in danger of. Keep going.
And whosoever shall say to his brother, Rakah.
Whoever says to his brother, Rakah, without what? Without a cause. Meaning you say to your brother, you are nothing. You are of low value.
You mean nothing.
For no reason. Without a cause. Let's see what Christ says about you. Read.
Shall be in danger of the council.
You're in danger of the council. And what happened at the council? You were beaten. Beaten with either few stripes or many stripes. Keep going.
But whosoever shall say, thou fool.
But whoever calls his brother a fool without what? A cause. What?
shall be in danger of hell fire.
That's what I wanted to get to. Shall be in danger of hell fire. The Lord is going to destroy the souls and the bodies of men in hell fire. And that hell fire is everlasting fire. I just want to put that out there. Go back to the book of Sirach chapter 16. Let me get verse 7. No, Sirach 16 and 6. Sirach 16 and 6.
Book of Sirach chapter 16 and verse 6. And the congregation of the ungodly shall a fire be kindled.
Shall a fire be kindled. Hold this. Get chapter 21 and 9.
Book of Sirach chapter 21 verse 9.
Read.
The congregation of the wicked.
The congregation of the wicked is the congregation of the ungodly. Read it again.
The congregation of the wicked.
Read.
Is like tow wrapped together.
They're like tow wrapped together. What is tow used for? Tow is used to kindle a fire. Tow is also burned in the fire. The congregation of the ungodly, the congregation of the wicked, they're like tow. Read.
And the end of them is a flame of fire.
And the end of them is a flame of fire. Read.
To destroy them.
To destroy them, both soul and body. Oh. Both soul and body. Read the next verse, because I just like it.
The way of sinners is made plain with stones.
The way of a sinner is made plain with stones. Read.
But at the end thereof.
And at the end of that.
Is the pit of hell.
Is the pit of hell, yo. Fire. There's fire after the stones. That's what it's saying to you. Let's go back to Sirach chapter 16. Let's read 6. One more again.
Book of Sirach chapter 16 verse 6. And the congregation of the ungodly shall a fire be kindled.
What type of fire? Hell fire. Everlasting fire. Kindled in the congregation of the ungodly. In the
fire
congregation of the wicked.
Destroy what? Soul and
body. Yep. Yes, sir. Fire that destroys both soul and body. Read.
And in a rebellious nation.
And in a rebellious nation.
Wrath is set on fire.
Wrath is set on fire. Read.
He was not pacified toward the old giants who fell away in the strength of their foolishness.
The Lord wasn't pacified towards the old giants who fell away in the strength of their foolishness. What is this going into? Jesus, the son of Sirach, he's about to go into he's about to go into antediluvian history, yo. History before the flood. History before the flood. These giants right here are the giants of old. The giants that you read about in Genesis, in the beginning. Give me that real quick in Genesis 6 and 1. Remember what the word Genesis means. It means beginning. The beginning. Give me Genesis 6 and 1 real quick.
Book of Genesis chapter 6 verse 1. And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth.
When men began to multiply on the face of the earth.
And daughters were born unto them.
And daughters were born unto these men. Read.
That the sons of God saw the daughters of men. That they were fair. And they took them wives of all which they chose.
And they took them wives of all which they chose. What is taking place here? Miscegenation. Miscegenation. Race mixing. One race messing with another race. That's what was happening here. Keep going.
And the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man. For that he also is flesh.
That he also is flesh, yo. Keep reading.
Yet his days shall be 120 years.
Yet his days shall be 120 years. The Lord cut down the lifespan of man right here. From this moment forward, from this moment forward, today's times, man gets what, 120 plus years at the most? That's about it. But keep going.
Verse 4. There were giants in the earth in those days.
That's the point I wanted. There were giants in the earth in those days. In what days? Read verse 1 again.
Verse 1. And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them.
Giants were in the earth in these days. In the days when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them. The giants were in the earth even then. Read verse 4 again.
Verse 4. There were giants in the earth in those days.
Read.
And also after that.
And also after those days. Read.
When the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men.
When the sons of God went in unto the daughters of men. The miscegenation. The giants was in the earth in those days as well. Read.
And they bare children to them.
And they bare children to them. The daughters of men bare children to the sons of God. Read.
The same became mighty men.
Those children became mighty men.
Which were of old.
Mighty men of old.
Men of renown.
Men of renown. Those children became known today as what we know as demigods. they became known as what we know today as demigods. That's what these children became, yo. And also, this is where Greeks and Romans and even modern Hollywood gets their ideas of gods and demigods and giants. Right here, starting in Genesis 6. This is where they get their ideas. This is where they get the ideas of gods of Egypt. Yeah. Pull those up on the screen for me real fast. All right. This is where they get the idea of that movie Immortals. Go over to the third one. Just go over. No, you guys up. Or you can't. I don't care. Just go to the third one. Just want to see it real quick. This is where they get the idea of the movie Immortals from. Go over. Immortals was about a man named Theseus. Theseus, what it says, Theseus was a king and founder of Athens, and he never fought the Hypes, who was not a mortal ruler, but a titan himself. Plus, Poseidon is actually the father of Theseus, making him a demigod like Perseus and Hercules. This is where they get these ideas of gods and demigods like Theseus. Go over. Or the legend of Hercules. Hercules is another so-called demigod. Mm-hmm. Another so-called demigod. And you know the idea of Hercules being a so-called white man, that shows you how long Edomites have envisioned themselves as the gods and the demigods in the world, Jeff. Real talk. All the way, at least since the time of the Greeks. Because you can read about Hercules in the Maccabees. Get that in the second Maccabees about Hercules, where he's mentioned that real quick. 2 Maccabees 4.
And I think he transpired over in the Romans too.
Yeah, he did.
Somehow. I forgot what they called him.
He did. 19.
The book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 4, verse 19.
Read.
This ungracious Jason sent special messengers from Jerusalem, who were Antiochians, to carry 300 dromedaries of silver to the sacrifice of Hercules.
To the sacrifice of Hercules. To the sacrifice of Hercules. Read.
Which even the bearers thereof thought fit not to bestow upon the sacrifice, but it was not convenient, but to be reserved for other charges.
Read the next verse as well.
This money then, in regard of the sender, was appointed to Hercules' sacrifice.
Was appointed to the Hercules sacrifice. Read.
But because of the bearers thereof, it was employed to the making of galleys.
The only reason why I wanted to bring this out is to show you Edom has been imagining themselves as gods and demigods for a long goddamn time, man. For a long time. They've been imagining themselves as Hercules, the son of Zeus. Show. Go over real quick, because you got the Hercules movie. Go over again. Go over Son of Zeus. You got Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. I don't know how many of y'all saw that. I saw it. Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief.
Yeah, he supposed to be the son of Poseidon.
Yep, another one. Exactly, another one. Go over. Percy Harvin, Sea of Monsters. Look what it says about him. Demigod, son of Poseidon, like Brethren just told you. I don't want to read none of that. Clash of the Titans. Hey, Clash of the Titans, Wrath of the Titans, go over. Go over. You ain't got to enlarge it. Look at that. Look at this. Perseus. Clash of the Titans was about what demigod? Perseus, a demigod and the son of Zeus. So the Clash of the Titans. They imagining themselves fighting Titans, bro. Fighting Titans. Hey, guess where they got the idea of Titans from? The Bible. Mm-hmm. The Bible. Give me that real quick in Judith 16:7. You probably didn't even know that the word Titans was in the Bible. You didn't even know the Bible talked about Titans. Hollywood do. You know what I'm talking about? They do. Read this real quick.
The book of Judah, chapter 16, verse 7.
Uh-huh.
But the mighty one did not fall by the young men.
The mighty one here is Halophanes. Judah said the mighty one didn't fall by the young men. Read.
Neither did the sons of the Titans.
That's what I wanted. Neither did the sons of the Titans. Neither did the sons of the Titans. The idea of Titans, giants, comes from the Bible, man. It comes from the scriptures. Finish the verse.
Smites him.
Uh-huh.
Nor high giants.
Set
upon him.
Uh-huh.
But Judith, the daughter of Merari, weakened him with the beauty of her countenance.
The idea of giants. The idea of Titans comes from the scriptures. This is a scriptural thing, man. Real talk. Hey, give me Genesis chapter 6. I need Genesis chapter 6 and verse 8. Let me get that real quick.
The book of Genesis chapter 6 and verse 8. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord.
But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. Noah was alive during this time of the sons of God, demigods, and giants. Noah was alive at this time. Read the next verse for me.
These are the generations of Noah. Noah was a just man and perfect in his generations. And Noah walked with God.
You know what made Noah a just man? You know what made him perfect in his generations? The commandments of God. Noah did what he was commanded to do, yo. Jump down to the last verse to prove that.
All right, verse 22. Thus did Noah, according to all that God commanded him. So did he.
That's what made him perfect. That's what made him a just man. He did according to all that God commanded him. Not some, not a little bit, but all that God commanded him. That's what made him a perfect and just man, yo. A perfect and just man. Wisdom of Solomon 14. Anybody got anything, you can feel free to add, yo. All right. Wisdom of Solomon 14, let's start at 1.
But Wisdom of Solomon chapter 14 verse 1. Again, one preparing himself to sell.
One preparing himself to sell, like the captain of a ship. Like Noah. Keep going.
And about to pass through the racing waves.
And about to pass through the raging waves. Read.
Calleth upon a piece of wood, more rotten than the vessel that carrieth him.
More rotten than even the ship that he's sailing on, that carries him. Read.
For verily desire of gain devised that. And the workman built it by his skill.
The workman built this vessel, this ship, by his skill. Read.
But thy providence.
But thy providence. Providence is protection and care. The protection and care of God. Read it again.
But thy providence, O Father.
But thy protection, your care, O Father. Read.
Governeth it.
Governeth it. Governs this vessel. Governs the ships in the seas, in the raging waves. Read.
For thou hast made a way in the sea.
The Lord makes a way in the sea.
And a safe path in the waves.
The Lord is the one who makes a safe path in the waves. Read.
Showing that thou canst save from all danger.
Showing that he can save from all danger, even the danger of the seas, even the danger of raging waves. He saves from all danger. Read.
Yea, though a man went to sea without art.
Though a man went to sea without art, meaning without skill, without the know-how, without the ability to do so. That's what it's saying. Keep going.
Nevertheless, thou wouldest not that the works of thy wisdom should be idle.
The works of his wisdom? Man, that's the works of his wisdom. He said, thou would not that the works of thy wisdom be idle. Why? Give me the book of Sirach 33 and 27. Sirach 33 and 27. Let me get that.
The book of Sirach 33 and verse 27.
Read.
Send him to labor, that he be not idle.
Why?
For idleness teacheth much evil.
For idleness teaches much evil. So the scriptures say, send him to labor. That's what God did. That's what God did. Give me that real quick in Genesis chapter 3. Genesis chapter 3 and verse 17. The Lord did not will for the works of his hand to be idle. So he sent the works of his hand to what? To labor. Genesis 3 and 17.
The book of Genesis chapter 3 verse 17.
Read.
And unto Adam he said, because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife.
Because you listened to your woman. Read.
And hast eaten of the tree of which I commanded thee, saying.
And you ate of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Read.
Thou shalt not eat of it.
Knowing you're not supposed to eat of it. Read.
Cursed is the ground for thy sake.
So the ground was cursed. Read.
And sorrow shalt thou eat of it all the days of thy life.
Read.
Thorns also and thistles shall it bring forth to thee. And thou shalt eat the herb of the field. And the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat bread.
In the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat bread. What did he just tell you? You're going to labor. You're going to labor to eat. You're going to labor for that bread. That's what he just told you. Finish, keep going.
Till thou return unto the ground.
Till thou return to the ground. Read.
For out of it was thou taken. For dust thou art.
For dust thou art.
And unto dust shalt thou return.
And to the dust shalt thou return. Go back to the book of Wisdom of Solomon 14 and verse 5 again.
Wisdom of Solomon chapter 14 and verse 5. Nevertheless, thou wouldest not that the works of thy wisdom should be idle.
The Lord would not that the works of his wisdom, talking about man, should be idle. So he sent man forth to labor. But keep going.
And therefore do men commit their lives to a small piece of wood.
To a small piece of wood, read.
And passing the rough sea.
And passing the rough sea.
In a weak vessel.
In a weak vessel.
Are saved.
Are saved. And passing the rough sea in a weak vessel are saved. And the example for this, Noah. Noah is the example of this right here. Give me Wisdom of Solomon chapter 10. Wisdom of Solomon chapter 10 verse 3.
The book of Wisdom of Solomon chapter 10 verse 3. But when the unrighteous went away from her in his anger.
When the unrighteous went away from her in his anger.
He perished also in the fury wherewith he murdered his brother.
This is talking about Cain. Solomon is giving us the history concerning Cain. Remember, Cain murdered his brother. He killed Abel. Get that real quick in Genesis chapter 4. Genesis chapter 4.
What's the first one?
No. Start at... what was that? Okay, let me get there real quick. Genesis chapter 4 and 8. Let's start there.
The book of Genesis chapter 4 verse 8.
Read.
And Cain talked with Abel his brother.
Uh-huh.
And it came to pass, when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel his brother.
Read.
And slew him.
And killed him. He rose up against Abel his brother and killed him. Why? 1 John chapter 3 and verse 12. 1 John chapter 3 and verse 12. Why did he kill his brother Abel?
1 John chapter 3 verse 12. Not as Cain.
Not as Cain.
Who was of that wicked one.
He was of that wicked one. Read.
And slew his brother.
He murdered his brother. Read.
And wherefore slew he him?
Why did he kill his brother? Read.
Because his own works were evil.
Because his own works were evil.
And his brother's righteous.
And his brother's works were righteous. Remember, the things written aforetime were written for what? Our learning, yo. The things written aforetime were written for our learning. Your brother will kill you. Real talk. And Christ told us that anyway. Give me that real quick. I ain't put it in the class, but I want it anyway. Matthew 10.
All right.
Give me that one. Matthew chapter 10. Let's get that. Side note. Matthew chapter 10 and give me verse 21.
Book of Matthew chapter 10 verse 21. And the brother shall deliver up the brother to death.
The brother shall deliver up the brother to death. Just like Cain did Abel. Just like Cain did Abel. The brother shall deliver up the brother to death. Read.
And the father the child.
And the father shall deliver up his child to death. Read.
And the children shall rise up against their parents.
And the children shall rise up against their parents to put them to death. Read.
And cause them to be put to death.
Just in case you thought I was making it up. The things written aforetime were written for our learning. And Paul told us that in the last days, people would be despisers of what? Good works. Good works. Give me that real quick. It just popped in my mind. 2 Timothy chapter 3. It just popped in my mind. Let's read this fast, though, because I want to get through the class. 3, start at 1 and read down. Read real fast.
All right. The book of 2 Timothy chapter 3 verse 1. This know also that in the last days.
In what days?
In the last days, perilous times shall come.
Read.
For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents.
Disobedient to parents. Damn, read.
Unthankful.
Unthankful.
Unholy.
Unholy.
Without natural affection. Truth breakers. False accusers. Incontinent. Fears.
There we go.
Despisers of those that are good.
Despisers of those who do righteousness, yo. They're going to hate those who do righteousness in these last days. Even your brother. Even your brother. Remember, the things that are written aforetime were written for what?
Our learning.
Our learning, yo. Our learning. Hey, let's go from there. Let's go to Wisdom of Solomon. 10 and 3 again.
The book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 10, verse 3.
Uh-huh.
But when the unrighteous went away from her in his anger,
Cain.
he perished also in the fury wherewith he murdered his brother.
He perished also in the fury wherewith he murdered his brother. Cain murdered his brother. Somebody murdered Cain. Real talk. Get the law. Get that in Genesis 9 and 6. And that's according to that, or that's according to the law of God. The spiritual law of God. You shed man's blood, by men shall your blood be shed. Read this real quick, 9 and 6.
Book of Genesis chapter 9 verse 6. Whoso sheddeth man's blood,
Whoever sheds man's blood,
by man
shall
his blood be shed.
shall his blood be shed. Read.
For in the image of God made he man.
For in the image of God made he man. And this is what happened to Cain. He murdered, he was murdered. Let's go back to the book of Wisdom of Solomon 10. Let's read 3 one more time.
The book of Wisdom of Solomon chapter 10 verse 3.
Uh-huh.
When the unrighteous went away from her in his anger, he perished also in the fury wherewith he murdered his brother.
Read.
Verse 4. For whose cause,
meaning because of the unrighteous, read.
The earth being drowned with the flood.
Because of the unrighteous, the earth was drowned with the flood, Joe. Read.
Wisdom again preserved it.
Wisdom again preserved it. So the earth was drowned with the flood. And when it's talking about the earth, it's not necessarily talking about the planet. It's talking about the people. It's talking about the people. Give me that real quick in Genesis chapter 7. Genesis chapter 7. Start at 10.
The book of Genesis chapter 7 and verse 10.
Read.
And it came to pass after 7 days that the waters of the flood were upon the earth.
After 7 days, the flood was upon the earth. 17.
Verse 17. And the flood was 40 days upon the earth.
So it continued to flood for 40 days on the earth. Read.
And the waters increased and bare up the ark.
And the waters increased and bare up the ark. What ark? Noah's ark. Noah's ark. Read.
And it was lift up above the earth.
Keep going.
And the waters prevailed, and were increased greatly upon the earth.
And the waters were increased greatly on the earth. Read.
And the ark went upon the face of the waters.
And Noah's ark went upon the face of the waters. Read.
And the waters prevailed exceedingly upon the earth.
Uh-huh.
And all the high hills.
And all the high hills
that were under the whole earth.
that were under the whole heaven.
Were under the whole heaven were covered.
Were covered, Joe. All the high hills. And that's literal and figurative. Because we know high hills also represent kingdoms. Also represent kingdoms. Mm-hmm. So the kingdoms of that time were drowned. They were underwater. Keep going.
Verse 20. 15 cubits upward did the waters prevail.
Damn.
And the mountains were covered.
Even the mountains were covered. The high mountains were covered. Once again, literal and figurative. Keep going.
And all flesh died that moved upon the earth.
And all flesh died that moved upon the earth. All flesh died that moved upon the earth. Read.
Both of fowl.
Both of fowl.
And of cattle.
Cattle.
And of beasts.
Beasts.
And of every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth.
Uh-huh.
And every man.
And every man, yo. And the daughters of man. But keep going.
Verse 22. All in whose nostrils was the breath of life.
Here we go.
And of all that was in the dry land
and of all that was on the dry land died. So that not only includes man and the daughters of man, that also includes who? Those demigods. That also includes who? Those giants, those titans. They also died in the flood, Joe. They also died in the flood. You got something?
Hey, you finished with this?
Yep.
You about to move on?
Yep.
Hey, before you move on, hey, read down, cause this is hard too.
Verse 23.
Break it up.
And every living substance was destroyed.
So, like bro, bringing out how every living substance was destroyed. Talking about man, life, animals, creatures, plants, everything. Keep reading.
Which was upon the face of the ground,
Mm-hmm.
both man and cattle, and the creeping things, and the fowl of the heaven, and they were destroyed from the earth.
And the reason I'm bringing this out because this is going to everything they possess. Livestock, cattle, anything they would have owned, all that. Everything they counted as wealth. Everything they counted as money. All that was destroyed with that flood. Man, that's hard. But finish out. I don't think you finished down to the ark.
And Noah only remained alive, and they that were with him in the ark.
That was all I wanted.
Hey, give me 2nd Ezra chapter 3 and verse 9. 2nd Ezra chapter 3 and verse 9. So the Lord brought the flood and killed everything. He destroyed everything.
Everything that you keep remembering.
With that flood. You know what I'm talking about? Read this real quick.
The book of 2nd Ezra chapter 3 verse 9.
Uh-huh.
And again in process of time.
Again in the process of time.
Thou broughtest the flood upon those that dwelt in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And destroyed them.
And destroyed them. He destroyed them with that flood. Why did he destroy them with the flood? Jump up to verse 8 and read back down.
Verse 8. And every people walked after their own will.
Before the flood. Before the flood, the people walked after their own wills. Read.
And did wonderful things before thee.
And they did wonderful things before the Lord.
And despised thy commandments.
And they despised the commandments of God. This is before the flood, Joe. Before the flood. So because of that, read.
And again in process of time.
So in the process of time, read.
Thou broughtest the flood upon those that dwelt in the world, and destroyed them.
And destroyed them. He destroyed them. Jump down to verse 11. Matter of fact, read 10 and 11.
Verse 10. And it came to pass in every of them.
It came to pass in every of them, meaning all the people on the earth, read.
That as death was to Adam.
As death was to Adam.
So was the flood to these.
The flood killed everything. Everything. Next verse.
Nevertheless, one of them thou leftest, namely, Noah with his household, of whom came all righteous men.
Noah with his household. Noah with his household. 1 Peter 3 and 20.
Hey, before you move on.
Go ahead.
Hey, go back to the same book, 2 Ezra 3 and 8. I just want to hit that wonderful things. Because you brought out your class. These how they became demigods. The one of the things you read too.
Oh yeah, all praises. Good point.
Yeah. But bring this out real quick.
Verse 8. And every people walked after their own will.
And when they walked after their own will, keep reading.
And did wonderful things before thee.
And that's how they became, them demigods around the hoop, them giants at that point in time. Before what? Before, like bro said, the flood. But that was it.
All right, give me that real quick. 1 Peter 3 and 20.
The book of 1 Peter chapter 3 and verse 20. Which sometime were disobedient. When once the long suffering of God waited in the days of Noah.
In the days of Noah, God was long suffering. The things written aforetime were written for our learning. As he was then, so it is today, yo. So it is today. Whether you know it or not, keep going.
Whether you believe it or not.
Whether you hear or forbear. Go ahead.
While the ark was a preparing.
So while the ark was being prepared, the Lord was waiting. Long suffering. Keep going.
Wherein few, that is, 8 souls.
That is 8 souls. That's Noah and his household, read.
Were saved by water.
Were saved by water or from the water. They were saved from the water. The Lord saved that few, that 8 souls, Noah and his household, from the water. That's what that's saying to you. Hey, let's go back to the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 10. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 10. And let's read verse 4 again.
All right. The book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 10 and verse 4. For whose cause the earth being drowned with the flood.
For whose cause, talking about the unrighteous, the earth was drowned with the flood. Read.
Wisdom again preserved it.
Wisdom again preserved it. Read.
And directed the course of the righteous.
And directed the course of the righteous. This is talking about Noah. Read.
And a piece of wood of small value.
In a piece of wood of small value. That piece of wood of small value is talking about the ark. Remember, the ark was made out of wood.
Yeah.
Give me that real quick in Genesis 6 and verse 13. Genesis chapter 6 and verse 13.
Go for wood.
The book of Genesis chapter 6 verse 13.
Uh-huh.
And God said unto Noah, the end of all flesh is come before me.
Read.
For the earth is filled with violence through them.
For the earth is filled with violence through them. Through them. Antediluvian times. In the times before the flood, the earth was filled with violence, yo. It was filled with violence and it was corrupted. Jump up, matter of fact, to verse 11.
Verse 11. The earth also was corrupt before God.
Uh-huh.
And the earth was filled with violence.
That's what it was in the days before Noah and in the days of Noah. Or let me rephrase. That's what it was in the days of Noah. The earth was corrupted and filled with violence. Remember, the things written aforetime, written for our learning. Give me Matthew chapter 24. We'll come right back. I need Matthew 24 about what Christ said. Matthew chapter 24 and verse 36.
Matthew chapter 24 verse 36. But of that day.
Of that day, talking about the day of the Lord's return.
And hour.
And the hour in which the Lord returns.
Knoweth no man.
No man knows the day or the hour. Read.
No, not the angels of heaven.
Not even the angels in heaven. Michael doesn't know. Uriel doesn't know. Gabriel doesn't know. The angels in heaven don't know. Read.
But my Father only.
Only the Father knows the day and the hour of the return of the Christ. But keep going.
But as the days of Noah were.
But he's about to give us a sign. Read it again.
But as the days of Noah were.
He said, but as the days of Noah were. Read.
So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be.
So shall it be in the days of the coming of the Son of Man. it's going to be just like it was in the days of Noah. Now, we know in the days of Noah, the earth was corrupted, which means polluted. The air was polluted. The waters were polluted. The lands were polluted. And we know that it was full of violence. Wars. War.
And rumors of wars.
That's what was going on in the days of Noah. Just like today. Just like now. But keep going.
Verse 38. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking.
As in the days that were before the flood. This is pre-diluvian. The days before the flood, they were eating and drinking. Read.
Marrying and giving in marriage.
They were marrying and giving in marriage. What type of marrying? What type of marriage? Miscegenation. Interracial marriage. That's what was going on in the time of Noah. That's what was prevalent in the days of Noah. Just like it is today. Just like it is now. Keep going.
Until the day that Noah entered into the ark.
All the way up until the day that Noah entered into the ark. There was violence. They were corrupting the world. They were eating. They were drinking. They were marrying, giving in marriage. All the way up until the day that Noah entered into the ark. Read.
And knew not until the flood came.
And they didn't know about the flood until the flood came. Read.
And took them all away.
And took them all away. They were all taken away in the flood. Read.
So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be.
That's what it's going to be in the day that the Lord returns. That's what it's going to be in the day the Lord returns. Go back to Genesis 6 and verse 13. Genesis 6 and 13.
Book of Genesis chapter 6 verse 13. And God said unto Noah, the end of all flesh is come before me. For the earth is filled with violence through them.
The earth was filled with violence. Read.
And behold, I will destroy them with the earth.
The Lord said he will destroy them with the earth. With the earth. Read.
Make thee an ark of gopher wood.
That's it. Make thee an ark of gopher wood. See, the ark was made of wood. It was made of gopher wood. And Solomon let us in on a secret about that gopher wood. What did he say about it? It was wood of small value. That wasn't even the highest value wood in Noah's time. that wasn't even the best wood you could get in Noah's time. It wasn't the most expensive wood that you could get in Noah's time. That gopher wood was wood of small value. How do we know that? Solomon let us in on that game. Solomon put us in on that secret. That wood was wood of small value. Read it again.
Make thee an ark of gopher wood.
Read.
Rooms shalt thou make in the ark.
He made rooms on the ark. Read.
And shall pitch it within and without with pitch.
And he pitched it inside and outside with pitch. Inside and outside with pitch. Hey, go back to Wisdom of Solomon 14 and 5. Wisdom of Solomon 14 and 5.
Book of Wisdom of Solomon chapter 14 and verse 5. Nevertheless, thou wouldest not that the works of thy wisdom should be idle. And therefore do men commit their lives to a small piece of wood.
Like Noah in his household. They committed their lives to a small piece of wood, an ark made out of gopher wood, wood of small value. Keep going.
And passing the rough sea.
And they passed the rough sea.
And a weak vessel.
And a weak vessel.
Are saved.
And they were saved. And they were saved. Read.
For an old time also, when the proud giants perished.
So in old time also, when the proud giants perished, when they died in the flood. In the flood. Read.
The hope of the world.
The hope of the world here is Noah. Read.
Governed by the hand, escaped in a weak vessel.
Governed by the hand of God. Escaped in a weak vessel. That ark made of gopher wood. Wood of small value. Read.
And left to all ages a seed of generations.
Let's go back to Sirach chapter 16 and verse 7. Sirach 16 verse 7.
The book of Sirach chapter 16 and verse 7.
Read.
He was not pacified toward the old giants who fell away in the strength of their foolishness.
They fell away from God in the strength of their foolishness, and they died in that same foolishness. Give me Baruch chapter 3 and verse 26.
The book of Baruch chapter 3 and verse 26. There were the giants famous from the beginning.
There were the giants famous from the beginning. From the days before Noah, in the days of Noah. These giants were famous. Read.
That were of so great stature.
They were of so great stature. They were titans. Read.
And so expert in war.
And they were expert in war. And you know who they were making war with? The sons of God. The demigods. That's who they were making war with in those days. Edom knows that. That's why they put it in their movies. Clash of the Titans. Wrath of the Titans. Edom knows that. Keep going.
Verse 27. Those did not the Lord choose.
But the Lord did not choose those giants of old that were famous from the beginning. Read.
Neither gave he the way of knowledge unto them.
He didn't give his knowledge to them. Read.
But they were destroyed.
But they were destroyed. They were all destroyed. Read.
Because they had no wisdom.
And that's why they were destroyed. They were destroyed because they did not have wisdom. Read.
And perished through their own foolishness.
And they perished through their own foolishness. The things that are written aforetime were written for our learning, yo. For our learning. The giants today are the heathen nations. The heathen nations that are so expert at war. So, like Edom. Edom is expert at war. Moab, expert at war. But God didn't choose them. He didn't give them the way of knowledge. They're going to be what at the end? Destroyed. Why? Because they have no wisdom. They're going to perish in their foolishness, yo. Just like those giants of old. Hey, and let me show you something about foolishness. Give me that in Proverbs 19:3 about foolishness real quick. Show you something about foolishness. Proverbs 19:3.
The book of Proverbs chapter 19 verse 3. The foolishness of man.
The foolishness of man
perverteth his way.
That's that right there about foolishness. Foolishness perverts the way, yo. Foolishness perverts the way of man. Just like it did man in time past. Same exact thing today. Read it one more time.
The foolishness of man perverteth his way. And his heart fretteth against the Lord.
And his heart frets against the Lord. It's enraged against the Lord. Because of his foolishness, he is against the Lord, yo. Foolishness perverts the way of man, yo. It perverts the ways of man. Let's go back to the book of Sirach 16. Sirach 16, let's read 7 one more time.
All right. The book of Sirach, chapter 16 and verse 7. He was not pacified toward the old giants who fell away in the strength of their foolishness.
The old giants, they fell away from God in the strength of their foolishness. They died because of that same foolishness, yo. Read.
Neither spared he the place where Lot sojourned.
Neither did he spare the place where Lot sojourned. Read.
But abhorred them for their pride.
But he hated them for their pride. Where did Lot sojourn? Give me the book of Genesis chapter 13. Genesis 13 and 10. It said he didn't spare the place where Lot sojourned. He abhorred them for their pride. Where did Lot live? Read that.
The book of Genesis chapter 13 verse 10. And Lot lifted up his eyes and beheld all the plain of Jordan.
Read.
That was well watered everywhere.
So in the time of Abram or Abraham and Lot, the plains of the Jordan, well watered. Meaning it was rich and abundant in natural resources. That's what it's saying about the plains of the Jordan. Read.
But the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah.
But that was before the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. Before the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, the plains of the Jordan were rich, well watered everywhere. Rich and abundant in natural resources. Keep going.
Even as the garden of the Lord.
It was like the garden of God. The garden of God being the garden of Eden. Read.
Like the land of Egypt, as thou comest unto Zoar.
Like the land of Egypt traveling into Zoar, into the Jordan. Keep going.
Then Lot chose him all the plain of Jordan.
So Lot chose him all the plain of Jordan. Read.
And Lot journeyed east.
He journeyed east.
And they separated themselves, the one from the other.
And they separated themselves one from the other. Abram and Lot separated from each other. Keep going.
Abram dwelled in the land of Canaan.
Which we know is the promised land. Read.
And Lot dwelled in the cities of the plain.
But Lot dwelt in the cities of the plains of the Jordan. Read.
And pitched his tent toward Sodom.
He pitched his tent toward Sodom. He pitched his tent toward Sodom. He lived in the cities of the plains of the Jordan. There were 5 cities in the plains of the Jordan. Give me chapter 14 and verse 2.
The book of Genesis chapter 14 verse 2. That these made war with Bera.
These made war with Bera. This is talking about the 4 kings versus the 5 kings. That history right there. We'll talk about this one day because I do love this history right there. But read it again.
That these made war with Bera, king of Sodom.
Sodom is one of the 5 cities in the plains of the Jordan. Matter of fact, it's the greatest of the 5 cities in the plains of the Jordan. You remember when you read Revelation 11 and it says and their dead bodies shall lie in the streets of that great city, which is spiritually called what? Sodom. Why did it use Sodom instead of Gomorrah? Because Sodom is greater than Gomorrah. Sodom was the greatest city of the 5 cities in the plains of the Jordan. It was the richest of the 5 cities in the plains of the Jordan. Read it again.
That these made war with Bera, king of Sodom.
Sodom is one city in the plains of the Jordan.
And with Bersha, king of Gomorrah.
They go a second city in the plains of the Jordan.
Shinab, king of Admah.
Admah is a third city in the plains of the Jordan.
And Shemeber, king of Zeboim.
Zeboim, a fourth city in the plains of the Jordan.
And the king of Bela, which is Zoar.
And Bela, which is Zoar, the 5th city in the plains of the Jordan. These are the 5 cities in the plains of the Jordan. When Lot said he sojourned in the cities of the Jordan, talking about among these 5. And out of these 5, he chose Sodom. Jump down to 12.
All right, verse 12. And they took Lot, Abram's brother's son, who dwelt in Sodom.
Who dwelt in Sodom. Read.
And his goods, and departed.
Now remember, Sodom is one of the 5 cities in the plains of the Jordan. This is where Lot lived, Joe. This is where he lived. And Sodom was wicked. The men of Sodom were wicked. Wicked as hell. Go back to chapter 13. Chapter 13, read 13.
Book of Genesis, chapter 13, verse 13. But the men of Sodom were wicked.
The men of Sodom were what?
Were wicked. And sinners before the Lord exceedingly.
See, the men of Sodom were wicked. And they were sinners before the Lord exceedingly, yo. Give me Ezekiel chapter 16. Ezekiel chapter 16, I want to start at 49.
Ezekiel chapter 16, verse 49.
Read.
Behold, this was the iniquity of thy sister Sodom.
This was the iniquity of thy sister Sodom. Sodom here is talking about Judah. It's talking about Judah. But what's about to happen is the Lord is about to compare the sins of Judah to the sins of ancient Sodom. To the sins of ancient Sodom. We're about to find out what was happening in Sodom. Read it again.
Behold, this was the iniquity of thy sister Sodom.
Read.
Pride.
There was pride in Sodom. Sodomite pride in Sodom. Gay pride in Sodom. Almost sounds like American pride in Sodom. You know, real talk. Read.
Fullness of bread.
They were rich. Sodom was rich. Remember, Sodom was in the plains of the Jordan. The plains of the Jordan, well watered everywhere. The plains of the Jordan, like the Garden of God. Like the Garden of Eden. Rich and abundant in natural resources. Sodom was rich. Sodom was full of bread. Read.
And abundance of idleness was in her, and in her daughters.
An abundance of idleness was in her, in Sodom, and in her daughters. And we know idleness teaches what? Much evil. Much evil. The men of Sodom were wicked, sinners exceedingly. But he just told you, so were the daughters. So were the daughters. There was a bunch of whores there, yeah. Keep going.
Neither did she strengthen the hand of the poor and needy.
Neither did she strengthen the hand of her poor and her needy. Reminds me of the United States of America.
Yeah, it does.
It reminds me of America. And I know somebody out there going like, well, they don't give anything to the poor because the poor don't do anything for it. What about the homeless veterans? What about the poor and needy veterans that fought for the country? That fought for you? They didn't do nothing? Huh? All right, yeah, exactly. Sounds like Mystery Babylon the Great to me. Once again, that just popped in my mind. Once again, this is why the Lord said that great city, spiritually called what? Sodom. Spiritually called Sodom. Real talk. Hey, keep reading.
Verse 50. And they were haughty.
And they were haughty, meaning they were arrogant. Read.
And committed abomination before me.
And they committed abomination before the Lord. Read.
Therefore I took them away as I saw good.
The Lord said he took them away as he saw good. He took them away. And he took them away in fire. In fire. Give me Genesis chapter 19 about how Sodom was taken away. Genesis 19:24.
Kind of like what, that hellfire.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Hellfire. The book of fire from heaven. Read.
The book of Genesis chapter 19 verse 24.
Read.
Then the Lord rained upon Sodom and upon Gomorrah brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven.
The Lord rained upon Sodom and Gomorrah brimstone. Fire from heaven, yo. This is how the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah were taken away. Taken away. Keep going.
And he overthrew those cities.
He overthrew those cities. And it's not just talking about the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. Sodom and Gomorrah are just the greatest cities out of the cities of the plain. And Sodom and Gomorrah just happened to be the first two cities that were destroyed. He didn't destroy them in order. He didn't destroy them all at once. They were destroyed one after another. Sodom first, Gomorrah, Zoar was last. This is why Lot was able to flee through Zoar. But this is why he couldn't stay in Zoar. He had to go to the mountains. You know what I'm talking about if you're familiar with the story. He destroyed Sodom, Gomorrah, and then he destroyed Zoar last, Joe. Hey, read that verse again. Verse 25.
And he overthrew those cities.
He overthrew those cities. Sodom, Gomorrah, but also Admah, also Zeboim, also Zoar. Read.
And all the plain.
And all the plain. All the plains of the Jordan. Read.
And all the inhabitants of the cities.
And the people of the cities.
And that which grew upon the ground.
And that which grew upon the ground. He destroyed it all. Why? Jude verse 7. The things that are written aforetime, man. The things that are written aforetime. Written for our learning. Jude verse 7.
Jude verse 7. Even as Sodom and Gomorrah, and the cities about them in like manner.
Even as Sodom and Gomorrah, and the cities that were about them, that were around them, Zeboim, Admah, Bela, which is Zoar. Those are the cities that were around them. Read it again.
Even as Sodom and Gomorrah, and the cities about them in like manner, giving themselves over to fornication.
They gave themselves over to fornication, all types of fornication, sexual immorality. Read.
And going after strange flesh.
And going after strange flesh. Strange flesh is same-sex flesh. Strange flesh is the flesh of children. Strange flesh is the flesh of beasts. Strange flesh is the flesh of angels. And we know they tried to rape angels. They wanted to rape angels in Sodom. They were going after strange flesh. Read.
And animate objects.
Yeah, pretty much. Read.
Are set forth for an example.
They were set forth as example. What happened to them is meant to be an example. Read.
Suffering the vengeance of eternal fire.
Suffering the vengeance of eternal fire. 2 Peter chapter 2 and verse 6. 2 Peter chapter 2 and verse 6.
2 Peter chapter 2 verse 6. And turning the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah into ashes.
He turned the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah into ashes. Read.
Condemned them with an overthrow.
Why?
Making them an example.
Making them an ensample or example. Read.
Unto those that after should live ungodly.
To those who would come after them and would live ungodly lives, yo. What happened to Sodom and Gomorrah in the cities of the plains of the Jordan, in the plains of the Jordan, is supposed to be an example to those who came after, those who live ungodly. That's why these things were done. The things that were written aforetime, written for our learning. Keep going.
And delivered just Lot.
And he delivered just Lot. Read.
Vexed with the filthy conversation of the wicked.
The wicked were the men and the daughters of Sodom. Those were the wicked. Read.
For that righteous man.
That righteous man is Lot.
Dwelling among them.
Dwelling among them, talking about the wicked men and daughters of Sodom. Read.
And seeing and hearing, vexed his righteous soul from day to day.
He vexed his righteous soul every day. Read.
With their unlawful deeds.
With their unlawful deeds. Read.
The Lord knoweth how to deliver the godly out of temptation.
This is what we're supposed to learn, though. We're supposed to learn that and supposed to know God knows how to deliver the godly out of temptations. You know, in Sodom, in the plains of the Jordan, every day Lot was tempted. Lot was fighting temptations just like we do to this day. Same exact thing. He was tempted. But God knows how to deliver the godly from temptation. Read.
And to preserve the unjust unto the day of judgment to be punished.
Hey, give me Wisdom of Solomon 10 and 5. Wisdom of Solomon 10 and verse 5.
Wisdom of Solomon chapter 10 and verse 5. Moreover, the nations in their wicked conspiracy being confounded.
The nations in their wicked conspiracy being confounded. This right here is going back to the history of Babel. The history of Babel. The wicked conspiracy, the building of a city in a tower to reach unto heaven. The confounding was the confounding of the languages of the nations, of the people. Where? At the Tower of Babel. When? At the Tower of Babel. Give me that history real quick. Genesis chapter 11. Let's get that history. Genesis chapter 11, start at 1. Let's read through this fast.
Book of Genesis chapter 11, verse 1. And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech.
At this time, the whole earth was of one language, one speech. Everybody spoke the same. Everybody had the same dialect. Everybody used the same pronunciations. There was no tomato at this time.
At the same time.
Yeah, there was no tomato at this time is what I'm saying to you. Keep going.
And it came to pass that they journeyed from the east.
Man journeyed from the east.
That they found a plain in the land of Shinar.
They found Shinar. Read.
And they dwelt there.
And that's where man dwelt. Read.
And they said one to another, Go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar.
And they had slime for mortar. Read.
And they said, Go to, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven.
This is the conspiracy that Solomon was talking about in Wisdom of Solomon 10. This is the conspiracy. Keep going.
And let us make us a name, let we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth.
Lest we be scattered upon the face of the whole earth. Read.
And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men builded.
Read.
And the Lord said, Behold, the people is one.
So at this time, the people were one. The people was one. And the people had one leader too. One king. This was Nimrod. This was during the time of Nimrod. Go to chapter 10 real quick to show that. Chapter 10, I want to start at verse 8.
We look at Genesis chapter 10, verse 8. And Cush begot Nimrod.
And Cush begat Nimrod. Cush, a Hamite. One of the sons of Ham. He was the father of a man named Nimrod. This man became a famous man. Read.
He began to be a mighty one in the earth.
He began to be a mighty man in the earth. Read.
He was a mighty hunter before the Lord.
Read.
Wherefore it said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord.
The mighty hunter before the Lord. He was hunting souls. Read.
And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel.
That's what I wanted right there. The beginning of Nimrod's kingdom was Babel. That was just the beginning of his kingdom. That's when it started. Babel. That's when his kingdom started. Read it again.
And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, and Erech and Akkad and Calneh in the land of Shinar.
In the land of Shinar. Babel, Erech, Akkad, and Calneh, they were all in the land of Shinar. Let's go back to chapter 11. Chapter 11, and I want to read verse 6 again.
Genesis chapter 11, verse 6. And the Lord said, Behold, the people is one, and they have all one language.
They have all one language.
And this they begin to do.
They begin to build a city, a tower to reach unto the heavens. Read.
And now nothing will be restrained from them.
He said, now nothing will be restrained from them. Read.
Which they have imagined to do.
At that time, we could do anything we put our minds to. Anything that we imagined to do, we had the ability to do it, Joe. Power. Read.
Go to, let us go down, and there confound their language.
And let us confound their language. Read.
That they may not understand one another's speech.
Keep going.
So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth.
So the Lord scattered them abroad from there, from Babel, from that city, from that tower that they were building. He scattered them abroad from there, upon the face of the earth. Read.
And they left off to build the city.
And they left off to build the city. And they went to go build the other cities in Shinar. They went to go build Erech, Akkad, and Calneh. Keep going.
Therefore is the name of it called Babel.
Therefore is the name of it called Babel. The word Babel means confusion. Confusion. Because that's the place where the Lord confounded the languages of the people, the languages of the nations. Read.
Because the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth.
There you go. Read.
And from thence did the Lord scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth.
Back to Wisdom of Solomon 10. You got some?
Oh, no, I'm good.
Back to Wisdom of Solomon 10. Let's read 5 again.
The book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 10 and verse 5. Moreover, the nations in their wicked conspiracy being confounded.
Moreover, the nations in their wicked conspiracy being confounded. That wicked conspiracy, the building of Babel. That city, that tower to reach unto the heavens. The confounding of the people, the languages, at that city, at that tower, during that time. Read.
She found out the righteous.
She found out the righteous. The righteous here is Abraham. Abram. Read.
And preserved him blameless unto God.
Uh-huh.
And kept him strong against his tender compassion towards his son.
Here we go. Keep going.
When the ungodly perish.
When the ungodly perish. The ungodly right here, this is talking about the wicked men and women of Sodom and the plains of the Jordan. Read it again.
When the ungodly perish, she delivered the righteous man.
The righteous man is Lot. He was the one that was delivered. Read.
Who fled from the fire which fell down upon the 5 cities.
Who fled from the fire that fell down on the 5 cities. So it wasn't just Sodom and Gomorrah that were burned. It was all 5 cities, yo. Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, Zeboim, and lastly, Zoar. Zoar was the last one to burn. Solomon is putting you on game. He's telling you what happened, man. Keep going.
Of whose wickedness even to this day, the wasteland that smoketh is a testimony.
Solomon said whose wickedness even to this day. What day? The day that Solomon was writing this. Even up to the day that Solomon was writing this, the plains of the Jordan was still smoking. It was still smoking, yo. Real talk. Keep going.
And plants bearing fruit that never come to ripeness.
And plants bearing fruit that never come to ripeness. Remember, before the destruction of Sodom, Gomorrah, and the neighboring cities, in the plains of the Jordan was like Eden. After that, not so much.
Compared to Egypt.
After that, not so much. After that, plants bearing fruit never came to ripeness again. That's what Solomon is telling you.
A wasteland.
Yeah, it became a wasteland, exactly.
And a standing pillar of salt is a monument of an unbelieving soul.
That standard pillar of salt is Lot's wife, yo. Lot's wife. Get that in real quick about her looking back and becoming a pillar of salt. Genesis 19:26. Shooting from the hip. I didn't put it in the class.
Book of Genesis 19, verse 26.
Uh-huh.
But his wife looked back from behind him.
Lot's wife looked back, read.
And she became a pillar of salt.
She became a pillar of salt. And that pillar of salt became a monument of an unbelieving soul. See, Solomon told you, he was telling you why she looked back. She looked back because she didn't believe. She was an unbeliever. She didn't believe. And because of her unbelief, she died. She died, Joe, because of that unbelief. Hey, give me the book of Sirach, chapter 16 and verse 8.
The book of Sirach, chapter 16, verse 8. Neither spared he the place where Lot sojourned.
Remember, Lot sojourned in the plains of the Jordan, in Sodom. The Lord didn't spare that place. Read.
But abhorred them for their pride.
He abhorred them for their pride. Their sodomite pride. Their gay pride. Just like he abhors that American pride. Same thing. Keep going.
He pitied not the people of perdition.
The people of perdition, the ungodly, the wicked, the people of Sodom and Gomorrah, the people of the plains of the Jordan. Read it again.
He pitied not the people of perdition, who were taken away in their sins.
Who were taken away in their sins. They were taken in their sins. Give me Luke chapter 17. The things written aforetime, man. Written for our learning. Luke chapter 17. I want to start at verse 32.
The book of Luke chapter 17, verse 32.
Read.
Remember Lot's wife.
Remember Lot's wife. You know what you remember when you remember Lot's wife? An unbelieving soul, yo. An unbelieving soul. You know what else you remember when you remember Lot's wife? You remember Lot. You remember Lot. You know what I'm talking about? Show up to verse 28.
Verse 28. Likewise also as it was in the days of Lot.
As it was in the days of Lot. Read.
They did eat.
They were eating.
They drank.
They were drinking.
They bought.
They were buying.
They sold.
They were selling.
They planted.
They were planting.
They building.
They were building cities. Read.
But the same day that Lot went out of Sodom.
But the same day that Lot left Sodom. Read.
It rained fire and brimstone from heaven.
It rained fire and brimstone out of the heavens. Read.
And destroyed them all.
And killed them all. All the people of the plains. Read.
Even thus shall it be in the day when the Son of Man is revealed.
That's what it's going to be in the day that the Son of Man is revealed. Remember, the Son of Man is going to be revealed in what? A fire. In fire. Give me that real quick. 2 Thessalonians.
Dang, and that's hard too. And that means there's going to be a whole lot of pillar of ashes.
Oh, it's going to be a whole lot of ashes. A whole lot of ashes, for real. You are 100% right on that.
Oh, the Bible says that.
Yeah, 100% right on that one, man. Bring this out. You know what I want? What book did I call?
2 Thessalonians.
2 Thessalonians 1, I think it starts at 6.
All right, thank you. The book of 2 Thessalonians chapter 1, verse 6. Seeing it is a righteous thing with God to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you.
It's a righteous thing with God to recompense tribulation. Read.
And to you who are troubled, rest with us.
To you, black, Hispanic, Native Indian, men, women, and children who are the Israelites, if you feel that trouble, rest with us, yo. Rest with us. Because our rest is going to be in the Lord. But keep going.
Rest with us when the Lord Jesus shall be revealed from heaven.
When the Lord shall be revealed from heaven, read.
With his mighty angels.
With his mighty angels, read.
And flaming fire.
And what?
And flaming fire.
And what?
And flaming fire.
The Lord is going to be revealed in flaming fire, yo. The Lord will be revealed from heaven with his mighty angels in flaming fire. Read.
taking vengeance on them that know not God.
And he's coming back to take vengeance on those that don't keep the commandments.
Those unbelieving souls.
Keep going.
And that obey not the gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ.
And he's coming back to take vengeance on those who do not obey the gospel. Read.
Who shall be punished with everlasting destruction?
Who shall be punished with everlasting destruction. That everlasting destruction, that everlasting fire that we read about in Matthew 25 and 41. That's that everlasting destruction, yo. Read that part again.
Who shall be punished with everlasting destruction
From
the presence of the Lord and from the glory of his power.
Is that it?
Yes, verse 9.
All praise. All praise. Do I want the next part or am I looking at it?
Nah, I'm good.
All right, all praises. Go back to Luke 17. Luke 17, give me verse 28. Luke 17, 28.
Matter of fact, just for me to get it though.
Oh, you saw something you like?
Ain't gonna right.
Do your thing.
Verse
10.
When he shall come to be glorified in his saints.
So when he comes to be glorified and saints, talking about Lord Jesus Christ, read.
And to be admired in all them that believe.
And he's going to be admired by all his saints, that believe on the Lord, read.
Because our testimony among you was believed in that day.
All praises. Because our testimony. Talking about who testimonies? The saints' testimony. The prophets' testimonies. God's testimony. Those that believe his testimony in those days will be saved.
Yep.
All praise to the Most High. That was it.
Praises to the highest. Go back to Luke chapter 17. I call it 28, but I actually want verse 34.
The book of Luke chapter 17 and verse 34. I tell you, in that night,
talking about when the Lord returns, read.
There shall be 2 men in one bed.
2 men in one bed in the prisons, but that's another story. We talked about this before, read.
The one shall be taken.
One shall be taken.
And the other shall be left.
One shall be taken. Taken in what? Taken in what? Hold this. Get Sirach chapter 16 one more time for me real quick. Sirach chapter 16. I think it might have been in verse 10.
The book of Sirach.
It might have been in 9.
The book of Sirach chapter 16 verse 9.
Yep.
He pitied not the people of perdition who were taken away in their sins.
They were taken away in their sins. Go back real quick to Luke chapter 17 and read verse 34 again.
The book of Luke chapter 17 verse 34. I tell you, in that night there shall be 2 men in one bed.
Read.
The one shall be taken.
One shall be taken. Taken in what? His sins. Taken in his sins. Read.
And the other shall be left.
And the other left behind. Read.
2 women shall be grinding together.
2 women shall be hustling. Read.
The one shall be taken.
The one shall be taken in her sins. Read.
And the other left.
And the other left. Read.
2 men shall be in the field.
2 men shall be out in the field.
The one shall be taken.
The one shall be taken in his sins.
And the other left.
And the other shall be left. Taken. Real talk. In their sins. Just like the people in the time of Noah, they were taken in that flood. Or just like the people in the time of Lot, they were taken in that fire that rained down on those 5 cities. Things that are written aforetime, man. Let's go back to the book of Sirach chapter 16, and I want verse 9 one more again.
The book of Sirach chapter 16 verse 9. He pitied not the people of perdition who were taken away in their sins.
Who were taken away in their sins. Read.
Nor the 600,000 footmen who were gathered together in the hardness of their hearts.
The 600,000 footmen here are talking about the 600,000 footmen in the time of Moses. Give me that real quick in Numbers chapter 11. Numbers 11 and 21. Numbers 11 and 21.
The book of Numbers chapter 11 verse 21. And Moses said, the people among whom I am are 600,000 footmen.
Are 600,000 footmen. 600,000 footmen. Read.
And thou hast said, I will give them flesh, that they may eat a whole month.
The Lord gave them flesh to eat for a whole month. Why? Well, Solomon, he put us on game. He told us why. Because that 600,000 footmen were gathered together in the hardness of their heart. That's why. But, let's go to verse 18 and read down. Read down to 20.
Verse 18. And say thou unto the people, sanctify yourselves against tomorrow, and ye shall eat flesh. For ye have wept in the ears of the Lord, saying,
what?
Who shall give us flesh to eat? For it was well with us in Egypt. Therefore the Lord will give you flesh, and ye shall eat.
And ye shall eat. So we were complaining. Read.
You shall not eat one day.
But you're not going to eat for just one day. Read.
Nor 2 days.
You ain't going to eat just for 2 days. Read.
Nor 5 days.
Not just 5 days.
Nor 10 days.
Not just 10 days.
Nor 20 days.
Hey, not even just 20 days. Read.
But even a whole month.
You're going to eat this flesh for a whole month. Read.
Until it come out of your nostrils.
Until it comes out of your nostrils. Read.
and it be loathsome unto you.
Until you hate it. Read.
Because that ye have despised the Lord.
And this is why. This is why they had to eat flesh for a whole month. Because they despised the Lord. Read.
Which is among you.
Uh-huh.
And have wept before him.
And we wept before him. Read.
Saying
what?
Why came we forth out of Egypt?
Complaining. And murmuring. Backbiting. Why did we come out of Egypt? Read.
And Moses said, the people against whom I am are 600,000 footmen.
600,000 footmen. Read.
And thou hast said, I will give them flesh that they may eat a whole month.
So why did God give this 600,000 footmen flesh to eat for a whole month? Because they despised the Lord. And Solomon told us they would gather together in the hardness of their hearts. Let's go back to the book of Wisdom of Solomon 10 again. Wisdom of Solomon 10 in verse... Oh no, we was in Sirach. Sirach chapter 16 and verse 10 one more time.
Sirach 16 verse 10.
Read.
Know the 600,000 footmen who were gathered together in the hardness of their hearts.
Talking about in the time of Moses. These 600,000 footmen. Read.
Verse 11. And if there be one stiff neck among the people.
If there be one stiff-necked among the people. Read.
It is marvel if he escapes unpunished.
You know why you gotta marvel if he escapes unpunished? Because nobody escapes unpunished. That's why he said, oh, you have to marvel if there's one that's stiff-necked and he escapes unpunished. Like, I can think of one that was stiff-necked in the time of Joshua, Achan. Give me that about Achan real quick. Let's see if he escaped unpunished. Joshua started chapter 7 and read verse 1.
The book of Joshua chapter 7 verse 1. But the children of Israel committed a trespass and an accursed thing.
In the accursed thing, read.
For Achan, the son of Carmi, the son of Zabani, the son of Zerah, of the tribe of Judah, took of the accursed thing.
Damn.
And the anger of the Lord was kindled against the children of Israel.
And the anger of the Lord was kindled against the children of Israel. So let's see what the judgment was for Achan for taking the accursed thing. Jump down to verse 15.
Verse 15. And it shall be that he that is taken with the accursed thing shall be burnt with fire.
That was the judgment. He said if you're taken with the accursed thing, you're going to be burned. Burned with fire. Read.
He and all that he had.
He and all that he had, like what you was mentioning earlier. God just doesn't get rid of you. He gets rid of you and your substance.
Everything.
Everything that you have.
Own
He
possession.
gets rid of all of it. Keep going.
Because he had transgressed the covenant of the Lord.
And this is why. It's because of transgression. It's because you transgressed the covenant of the Lord. Read.
Because he had wrought folly in Israel.
And because you worked folly in Israel. So he said,
Wickedness.
This man will be taken, everything that he has taken, burned with fire. Jump over to verse 24. Let's read about this judgment happening to Achan.
Verse 24. And Joshua and all Israel with him took Achan the son of Zerah, and the silver and the garment, and the wedge of gold, and his sons and his daughters, and his oxen and his asses, and his sheep, and his tent, and all that he had.
And all that he had, everything he possessed. Read.
And they brought them unto the valley of Achor.
Uh-huh.
And Joshua said,
What did he say?
Why hast thou troubled us? The Lord shall trouble thee this day.
Read.
And all Israel
remember, it's a righteous thing for the Lord to recompense tribulation. This is why Joshua said, why did you trouble us? Because of that, the Lord is going to trouble you. Read that again.
And Joshua said, Why hast thou troubled us? The Lord shall trouble thee this day. And all Israel stoned him with stones.
All Israel stoned him with stones?
And buried them with fire.
No, and burned.
And burned them with fire.
And burned them with fire. Read.
After they had stoned them with stones.
After they had stoned them with stones. Reminds me of what we read earlier, right? In Sirach 21 and 10.
Yep.
Give me Sirach 21 and 10 again, just to show you. This goes right what we read in Sirach 21 and 10. Read that again.
Sirach 21 verse 10. The way of sinners is made plain with stones.
Like with Achan. Read.
But at the end thereof is the pit of hell.
After that is at the end, or after the stoning, is fire. It's fire, like what was said about Achan. And that fire isn't just for you, it's for you and everything that you have, yo. You and everything you have. Give me Luke 8 and 18.
So he went through in history past cremation.
Oh yeah, basically, yeah, pretty much. And his things were cremated with him.
Hey, the guy, he ain't want no tomb raider.
I hate to laugh at it, bro, but I'm just saying, it just is what it is. Read this real quick.
Now you know how they say you laugh because you weep for
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah,
you
it's facts though.
can't cry, you just
Yeah, you're right. I'm crying to cover up the hurt. that I have for AK off the rip.
Yeah, you're
Read
right.
this real quick.
The book of Luke, chapter 8, verse 18. Take heed, therefore, how ye hear.
Take heed, therefore, how you hear the word of God. Why? Because there are false prophets and false teachers. Take heed how you hear the word. Read.
For whosoever
has eyes to see, ears to hear. Read.
to him shall be given.
To him shall be given the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven. Read.
And whosoever hath not,
But those who don't have the eyes to see and the ears to hear. Read.
from him shall be taken even that which he seemeth to have.
From him shall be taken even that which he seems to have. All that he has will be taken. All that he possesses shall be taken. Taken with him, yo. Taken in a fire. Achan is that example. The Lord don't just cast away the wicked, he casts away the substance of the wicked too. Give me that in Proverbs chapter 10 and verse 3 real quick. Proverbs 10 and verse 3.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 10, verse 3.
Uh-huh.
The Lord will not suffer the soul of the righteous to famish,
The Lord will not suffer the souls of the righteous to famish. Read.
but he casteth away the substance of the wicked.
But he casteth away the substance of the wicked. Everything the wicked possesses, everything the wicked has, the Lord cast that away, yo.
Yeah, he did during the time
Real
of the flood.
Huh?
He did during the time of the flood. He did during the time at Achan, we just read about.
Yep. During the time of Lot, Sodom and
Sodom
Gomorrah,
and Gomorrah, the 5 cities, yeah.
takes away everything. Everything.
And
Let's-
leave it for memorial.
hey, let's go back to Sirach. Sirach chapter 16 and verse, read 11 again.
The book of Sirach, chapter 16, verse 11. And if there be one stiff neck among the people, it is marvel if he escape unpunished.
The reason why you marvel is because no one escapes unpunished. Read.
For mercy and wrath are with him.
Mercy and wrath are with God Almighty. Read.
He is mighty to forgive
He's mighty to forgive,
and to pour out displeasure.
but he's also mighty in pouring out displeasure. Yo. Mighty to forgive and mighty in pouring out displeasure. Read.
As his mercy is great,
As his mercy is great,
so is his correction also.
so is his correction also. As his mercy is great, so is his correction. Who is his mercy for? Give me that real quick. 2nd Ezra, chapter 7 and verse 62. Who is his mercy for? 62 and 63.
2nd Ezra chapter 7 and verse 62. I answered then and said, I know, Lord, that the Most High is called merciful,
The Most High is called merciful. Read.
and that he have mercy upon them which are not yet come into the world,
He has mercy on them that are not even yet born into the world. Read.
and upon those also that turn to his laws.
That's the point. His mercy is to those who turn to his laws. Yo. The mercy of the Most High is for those who turn to the law. Give me Sirach 18:13.
The book of Sirach chapter 18 and verse 13. The mercy of man is toward his neighbor,
The mercy of man is towards his own neighbor. Read.
but the mercy of the Lord is upon all flesh.
But the mercy of the Lord is upon all flesh. Keep going.
He
He
reproveth
reproves,
and nurtureth
and he nurtures,
and teacheth
and he teaches,
and bringeth
and
again,
he bringeth again,
as a shepherd his flock.
as a shepherd his flock. Here we go.
He had mercy on them that receive discipline.
That's it. When he said he had mercy on all flesh, it's talking about all flesh that receives discipline. That's who the mercy of the Lord is for. All flesh that receives discipline. Keep going.
And that diligently seek after his judgments.
His mercy is to those who diligently seek after his judgments. His mercy is to those who seek after his judgments, to those who receive discipline. Discipline. Give me Wisdom of Solomon 6 and 17 about what discipline is real quick.
The book of Wisdom of Solomon chapter 6 verse 17.
Uh-huh.
For the very true beginning of her
The very true beginning of her wisdom, read.
is the desire of discipline.
That's what I wanted, is the desire of discipline. Read.
And the care of discipline is love.
Now we know what discipline is. It's love. Let's keep going.
And love is the keeping of her laws.
And now you know what love is. Love is discipline. Discipline is the keeping of her laws. Talking about wisdom. And we know that's talking about God's law. Because in case you didn't know, God's law is wisdom. For those who didn't know. Love is the keeping of the laws, man. Of the laws. That's discipline. That is discipline. God's mercy is to those who keep the law. Read it again, verse 18.
And love is the keeping of her laws. And the giving heed unto her laws
And the giving heed unto her laws, which are the laws of God, read.
is the assurance of incorruption.
That's how you find incorruption, which means immortality, yo. Everlasting life. That's how you live forever. Give me the book of Sirach chapter 5 and verse 5. Remember, God's mercy is great, but so also is his correction. So, Sirach 5 and 5.
Sirach chapter 5 verse 5. Concerning propitiation, be not without fear to add sin unto sin.
Don't be without fear to add sin unto sin, yo. Don't be without fear of God, in adding sin unto sin. Why? Keep going.
Verse 6. And say not, his mercy is great.
Don't say his mercy is great, read.
He will be pacified for the multitude of my sins.
Don't think he will be pacified for the multitude of your sins. The old giants, they couldn't pacify the Lord with the multitude of their sins. That's the example for us that we can't do it either. Keep going.
For mercy and wrath come from him.
Mercy and wrath come from him.
And his indignation resteth upon sinners.
So that's why you don't add sin upon sin. The only people who add sin upon sin, that's the wicked. That's the ungodly. That's the sinners. Get chapter 3 and verse 27.
The book of Sirach chapter 3 verse 27. An obstinate heart shall be laden with sorrows.
An obstinate heart. An obstinate heart is a froward heart. A froward heart shall be laden with sorrows. Read.
And the wicked man.
What type of man?
And the wicked man.
Which is the sinner, the ungodly. Read.
Shall heap sin upon sin.
Shall heap sin upon sin. They don't fear God. There's no fear of God. Next verse.
Verse 28. And the punishment of the proud.
In the punishment of the proud.
There is no remedy.
There is no remedy. Damn it. Read.
For the plant of wickedness have taken root in him.
So in the punishment of the proud, there is no remedy. Another word for remedy, mercy. There's no mercy from God. God shows no mercy. Give me that real quick in Wisdom of Solomon 19 and 1. Wisdom of Solomon chapter 19 verse 1.
The book of Wisdom of Solomon chapter 19 verse 1. As for the ungodly.
As for the ungodly, which is the wicked, read.
Wrath came upon them without mercy.
Wrath came upon them without mercy. Without mercy. God's wrath came without mercy, meaning without remedy. Read.
Unto the end. For he knew before what they would do.
God's wrath can be without mercy. His mercy is great. But so also is his correction, yo. So also is his correction. Sirach 16 and 12. Sirach 16 and 12 again.
The book of Sirach 16 verse 12. As his mercy is great, so is his correction also.
So is his correction also. His correction can be without mercy. So great that it can be without mercy, without remedy. Read.
He judgeth a man according to his works.
He judgeth a man according to his works. The judge is God. God is the judge. The Lord is the judge. Give me that in Psalm 50 and 6. Shoot through these precepts. Psalms 50 and 6.
The book of Psalms, the 50 verse 6.
Uh-huh.
And the heavens shall declare his righteousness.
The heavens shall declare his righteousness.
For God is judge himself, Selah.
For God is judge himself, Selah. Psalm 75, 7.
Book of Psalms, the 75 and verse 7.
Uh-huh.
But God is the judge.
But God is the judge.
He putteth down one.
He putteth down one nation in the earth.
And setteth up another.
And setteth up another nation in the earth. God is the judge. He's the judge of the whole earth, yo. Give me that in Genesis 18. I wasn't going to put this in here, but I want to put it in anyway. Genesis 18, 25. Genesis 18, 25.
The book of Genesis chapter 18 verse 25.
Uh-huh.
That be far from thee to do after this manner.
Read.
To slay the righteous with the wicked.
This is Abraham talking to the Lord about the destruction of Sodom. Keep going.
And that the righteous should be as the wicked. That be far from thee. Shall not the judge of all the earth do right?
He called the Lord the judge of all the earth. He says, shall not the judge of all the earth do right? Of course, man. God's judgments are right. Give me that real quick where it says his judgments are right. You know what I want, right? Let me get it in. Psalm 19. I think it's Psalm 19.
Yeah, Psalm 19.
Let me get that real quick. Is it verse 8?
Yeah.
Give me that one real quick.
Yeah. The book of Psalms 19 verse 8.
Uh-huh.
The statutes of the Lord are right, rejoicing the heart.
The statutes of the Lord are right, rejoicing the heart. Read.
The commandment of the Lord is pure, enlightening the eyes.
The commandments of the Lord appear, enlightening the eyes. Read.
The fear of the Lord is clean, enduring forever. The judgments of the Lord are true.
That's what I want to read.
And righteous altogether.
The judgments of the Lord are true and righteous altogether. The root word to righteous, right. God's judgments are right. He don't pervert judgment. Give me that about him not perverting judgment. Job chapter 8. It's like 3 or 4.
Yeah, I got a precept too to back you up.
Oh, you can't. Bring it out right after this. Job 8, 3. Yep, verse 3.
Book of Job 8 verse 3. Doth God pervert judgment? Or doth the Almighty pervert justice?
The answer is no, no, no. Go ahead, Bruce.
Hey, and just like bro bringing up about the nations, and one nation knew about this too during the time of Abraham. Hey, get Genesis 20. We'll make this quick. We ain't gonna be here all day. Let's start at get straight to the point. 4.
The book of Genesis chapter 20 verse 4. But Abimelech had not come near her. And he said, Lord, will thou slay also a righteous nation?
Yeah, because this is what the Lord used to do. The Lord used to slay unrighteous nations. Abimelech had to let the Lord know when he visited, hey, Lord, I ain't touched the woman. I'm righteous in this moment. How we know that? Hey, let's jump down to, let me see. My I just leave it like that. I just leave it right there.
You straight?
Yeah, I'm straight.
Psalm 98:9. Because Abraham asked, he said, aren't you going to judge right? Of course he is. Psalm 98:9.
Book of Psalms 98 verse 9.
Read.
But for the Lord, for he cometh to judge the earth.
See, the Lord cometh to judge the earth. He is the judge of the earth. He's coming to judge. Read.
And the Lord has judged before.
Yep. He's going to judge again. But keep going.
With righteousness shall he judge the world.
That's the point. He's coming back to judge with righteousness. Righteous judgments. Read.
And the people with equity.
And I know somebody will be like, that's in the Old Testament. Give me Revelation 19.
But just go back to what you were saying about how his judgment is a full circle, though.
Yep, there you
know
go.
What I mean? Just like in the beginning, he was judging. Just like in the end, he's going to be doing what? Judging.
Damn right. So, Revelation 19:11.
The book of Revelation chapter 19 verse 11.
Read.
And I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse. And he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True.
Talking about the Christ, read.
And in righteousness.
And in what?
And in righteousness,
read.
He doth judge and make war.
He's coming back to judge. He's coming back to judge the world, the earth, in righteousness. This is for you people who say, well, y'all just kept reading in the Old Testament. Here go a New Testament verse for you right Real talk. Hey, from there, give me the book of, give me Isaiah 33 and 22. Let's stay on the fact that the Lord is the judge just for a little bit longer. Isaiah 33, 22.
The book of Isaiah chapter 33 and verse 22. For the Lord is our judge.
The Lord is our judge. He is the judge, read.
The Lord is our lawgiver.
He's our lawgiver, read.
The Lord is our king.
That's our king, read.
He will save us.
He will save us. The Lord will save us. Give me 2 Ezra 16:67. 2 Ezra 16:67. Last precept on this.
2 Ezra chapter 16 and verse 67. Behold, God himself is the judge.
God himself is the judge.
Fear him.
Fear God, read.
Leave off from your sins.
And leave off from your sins, read.
And forget your iniquities.
Forget your iniquities, read.
To meddle no more with them forever. So shall God lead you forth and deliver you from all trouble.
And God will deliver you from all trouble. But you're going to have to leave off from your sins. Forget your iniquities. Meddle no more with them forever. The point I wanted was God is the judge. Go back to the book of Sirach chapter 16. Sirach chapter 16 and verse 12.
The Sirach chapter 16 verse 12. As his mercy is great.
As his mercy is great.
So is his correction also.
So his correction is also.
He judgeth a man according to his works.
So the Lord is the judge. God is the judge. He judges a man according to his works. What are his works that he judges man according to? Give me Baruch chapter 2. Give me Baruch chapter 2. And I want verse 9.
The book of Baruch chapter 2 verse 9. For the Lord watched over us for evil, and the Lord hath brought it upon us.
Talking about evil. And that evil is the curse of Deuteronomy 28:15 through 68. Read.
For the Lord is righteous in all his works.
This is what I wanted. The Lord is righteous in all his works. Read.
Which he hath commanded us.
Which he hath commanded us. So when it says the Lord judgeth a man according to his works, it's talking about according to his works that he's commanded us. According to all his works that he has commanded us. Give me the book of 2 Ezra chapter 7. Give me 2 Ezra 7 and 24. About God's works, about his works. What are they? Read.
2 Ezra chapter 7 verse 24. But his law have they despised.
But his law, the law have they despised. Read.
And denied his covenants.
And denied his covenants.
And his statutes.
And his statutes.
Have they not been faithful.
They have not been faithful. Read.
And have not performed his works.
And have not performed his works. What are his works? The law, the covenants, the statutes, faith. These are his works, man. These are the works of the Lord, the works of the law. And yes, I said faith. Because a lot of people, but faith ain't a part of the law. Silence. Give me Matthew 23 and 23 real quick. We need to bring this out and show you. Faith is a part of the works of God. Read this real quick.
Matthew 23 and 23. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, Hypocrites.
Hypocrites.
For ye pay tithe and myrrh and mint and essay and aside.
Anise.
Read
it one more time.
Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites.
Hypocrites.
For you pay tithe.
You pay tithes. Tithes are some of his works. Are some of the works of the Lord. Read.
Of mint and anise and cumin.
And cumin.
Cumin.
Uh-huh.
And have omitted the weightier matters of the law.
And have omitted the weightier matters of the law. Like what?
Judgment.
Judgment. This is a part of the law. Read.
Mercy.
Mercy is about the law. The law is about mercy. Read.
And faith.
And what?
And faith.
And faith. And faith. These are the works of the Lord. These are his works. These are his works. Judgment. Mercy. Faith. Read.
These ought ye to have done, and not to leave the other undone.
Hey, get John chapter 6 and 29 to further show you that faith, belief, these are works of God. These are the works of God. These are his works. Read this real quick.
The book of St. John, chapter 6, verse 29.
Read.
Jesus answered and said unto them, This is the work of God.
This is the work of God. Read.
That ye believe on him whom he hath sent.
Faith. Faith. The works of God. Faith is one of the works of God. One of his works. Give me the book of Revelation 20. Got something?
No.
Revelation chapter 20 and verse 11. We're almost done.
The book of Revelation, chapter 20 and verse 11. And I saw a great white throne, and him that sat on it.
Who sat on this great white throne? The Christ. Read.
From whose face the earth and the heaven fled away.
Read.
And there was found no place for them.
For these old heavens, the old earth. Read.
And I saw the dead, small and great.
He said, I saw the dead, small and great. The dead here are dealing with the Israelites. What group of Israelites? Those goats, the ungodly, the rebellious, the unbelieving. That's what he's dealing with right here. Read it again.
And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God.
Stand before Christ. Read.
And the books were open.
And the books were open.
And another book was open.
And another book was open.
Which is the book of life.
Which is the book of life. Read.
And the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books.
And the dead were judged out of those things that were written in the books. What's written in the book of life? First thing we know written in the book of life, the names of the saints. Mm-hmm. The names of the saints is written in the book of life. But what else is in the book of life? Laws, commandments, covenants, statutes, judgments, faith, mercy. The works of the Lord are in the book of life. Now, what's written in the other books? Keep reading.
Verse 14. And death and hell.
No, we got to finish verse 12.
Sorry. And they were judged, every man according to their works.
And they were judged. No.
Start from the top.
Yeah, start from the top, yeah.
Verse 13.
No, 12.
Verse 12. So I'll verse 13.
You good.
And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God. And the books were open. And another book was open, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books.
Now we know what was written in the book of life. What was written in those other books? Read.
According to their works.
Your works. All of your works are written in those other books. And those are works, whether they're good works or bad works, or evil works. Your works are written in those other books. Keep going.
And the sea gave up the dead.
Oh, and that right there is for Jake. That right there is for the Israelites. Everyone's going to be judged according to their own works, based on his works, on the Lord's works. Do your works line up with his? Do your works line up with his? Next verse.
And the sea gave up the dead.
Now, this right here is the rest of the nations. This is the other nations. You read about the other nations in Edom right here in verse 13. Read it again.
And the sea gave up the dead.
The sea is the other nations. They gave up their dead, read.
Which were in it. And death and hell.
And death and hell is Edom, the so-called white man, woman, and child, read.
Delivered up the dead which were in them.
They're going to deliver up their dead, read.
And they were judged, every man according to their works.
And they're going to be judged according to their works, read.
And death and hell.
Edom.
Were cast into the lake of fire.
Cast into a lake of fire, read.
This is the second death.
That's the second death, read.
And whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire.
They were cast into the lake of fire as well. So all of us are going to be judged. Every man and every woman. Starting first with Israel. Then the heathen. Last verse, 2 Corinthians 5 and 10. Because I kept saying you're going to be judged whether your works be good or bad. So let's just end here where it says that.
2 Corinthians chapter 5 and verse 10. For we must all appear before the judgment seat of Christ.
The judgment seat of Christ is that great white throne that we read about in Revelation chapter 20.
Where the book open up at.
That's the judgment seat of Christ right there. We must all appear before that great white throne. That judgment seat. Read it again.
For we must all appear before the judgment seat of Christ,
Uh-huh.
that everyone may receive the things done in his body,
Uh-huh.
according to that he have done.
According to that which ye have done, according to your own works. Read.
Whether it be
Whether
good
those be good works
or bad.
or whether those be bad works, man. Hey, anybody got anything they want to add?
Yeah, just in case they don't know what good is. You know, we got Christian.
Oh yeah, good. Yeah,
Christianity.
good point. Good point.
Hey, Romans 7.
Good point. White Jesus is on your mind.
Mm-hmm.
The book of Romans chapter 7 verse 12.
Bring this out.
Wherefore the law is holy.
For the law is holy. Because all bro was talking about is laws. And where God's laws found at? In the Bible.
That's
so the God laws in the Bible, God let us know they are holy. And what else?
And the commandment holy.
As well as his commandments. And guess where his commandments found at? Where else? Right next to his laws. Found where? In the Bible. And guess what? You found about his commandments. They're holy.
Mm-hmm.
Finish out.
And just.
You know, for those that do his laws as well as his commandments, you are being just.
And good.
And you are being good.
Hey.
That finished up. That was it.
Yeah.
And with that,
Hey, well, we're going to end this thing in the same way we began this thing, and that's by giving all praises, all glory, all honor to the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
facts.
Through his only begotten Son, Jesus the Christ.
Bring that out.
Secondly, we're going to give double honors to our elders again.
That's right.
See, our elders, they rule well. They're counted worthy of double honors. They're going to get their double honors. So double honors to the elders. Lastly, I'm going to say to all the brothers, all the sisters out there, Shabbat Shalom. Farewell. Hope you got something out of the class. My name is Priest Lithiel Ben Israel.
And if you did get sent out of class and you want to know more about who Holy Nation of Israel is, the school information, look us up on Facebook as well as on Instagram under Holy Nation Israel. And you can find our YouTube channel on YouTube, Straight Gate of Israel. And as well for me, Ron Ben Israel, you can find me on Instagram as well as on Facebook. But when it comes to Instagram, just remember, everything lowercase and an underscore between the two names.
Hey, I'm on Instagram, Lithiel617, Facebook, Lithiel Ben Israel.
And like always, when it comes to our social media platform, feel free to like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell on YouTube. You know, stay up with the latest notifications, the latest drops of our content. And I forget anything?
You might take that.
And with
Oh,
that,
yeah. There you go. Edom might take that.
Oh yeah.
And Paul might take that. And
God's enemies, they all hate that.
Ammonites hate that. And Hamites hate that.
Hey, and just for the broad class, even God's the rebellious monsters, they hate that.
Yeah, goats. The goats hate that. Yo.
So
Shalom.
Shalom, Israel. Shalom.
Shalom.
Hey, it was a good class, priest.